morning from Monrovia. This is Trokon Freeman with news net on OKFM 99.5. Today is Thursday, the 5th day of July 2018. Now, top stories this morning on the occasion marking United States independence anniversary. President George Weah describes the U.S. as a major partner to Liberia's development agenda, while nominating Nathaniel Petrie to head the CBA, replacing Milton Weeks. Government's anti-corruption watchdog LACC says the commission does not have record of any member of the 53rd legislature who declared their assets, including President Weah, then Senator for Moserado. National Food Authority's IT Managing Director Cecilia Coffey Brown says they are individuals who are using animal sacrifices to take a job, but still remains confident of our retention by President Weah. A report from Gantan in Nima County says 2 persons have been arrested with huge sum of counterfeits. And away from Liberia, French President Emmanuel Macron has told the BBC that Europe plans to create migrant processing centers in North Africa will not work unless the process is led by those countries. The details of these stories and other developments, including the news bulletin, are packaged in this presentation of the program. Many thanks for joining us. Next is Augustine Kollie and the news bulletin. Augustine, good morning.
Good morning, Trokon. Good morning, everyone. President George Weah has nominated Nathaniel Petrie as executive governor of the Central Bank of Liberia. The nomination of Petrie follows the resignation of Governor Milton Weeks from the Central Bank. According to an executive mansion release, the president has also made appointments at the National Security Agency. Those appointed are Edward Shep, Deputy Director for Planning, Research and Analysis; Emmanuel Jackson, Assistant Director for Planning, Research and Analysis; and Told Gallo as Assistant Director for Administration. These appointments and nominations are subject to confirmation by the Liberian Senate where applicable. Meanwhile, President George Weah has with immediate effect terminated the mandate of the Special Presidential Task Force constituted to retrieve government-owned vehicles from former officials of government. According to the release, the Liberian leader commended the committee for the job well done in executing the mandate given them and requested that all current officials of government, as well as former officials of government, refer all vehicle-related issues concerning to the General Services Agency for redress. President George Weah has also described the United States as a major partner to Liberia's development agenda. President Weah said his government notes with deep appreciation the many initiatives undertaken by the United States government in the areas of decentralization, agriculture, roads construction, electricity, among others. According to the Liberian leader, the support of the United States government to the consolidation of peace and security has been cardinal on strengthening the nation's democratic processes. Dr. Weah spoke Wednesday in Monrovia at programs marking the independence celebration of the United States of America. The chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission says the refusal of government officials to declare their assets is a violation of the Code of Conduct. Councillor James Verdier said since the inception of the Weah-Taylor administration, the LACC does not have a considerable number of public officials who have declared their assets. In an exclusive interview of OKFM Wednesday, the LACC boss also noted that the commission does not have record of any member of the 53rd legislature who declared their assets to the LACC, including President Weah, who was then senator for Moserado County. According to Councillor Verdier, the LACC has experienced a serious non-compliance from officials of the 3 branches of government. Section 10.1 of the National Code of Conduct mandates every public officials or employees involved in making decisions affecting contracting, tendering, or procurement and issuance of licenses of various types shall sign performance of financial bonds and shall in addition declare his or her income, assets, and liabilities prior to taking office and thereafter. Councillor Verde further said the country's assets declaration laws are not strong enough as the failure to declare asset is not criminalized, stating that the mandate to enforce the code of conduct is in the purview of heads of the various branches of government and not the LACC. Meanwhile, the LACC chairman has clarified speculations of deadline within the time frame for asset declaration. Councillor James Verde told OKFM Wednesday that the last Friday of July each year is a provision within the LACC regulation for public officials who might be redeclaring their assets and not for those declaring their assets for the first time. Speaking further, Councillor Verde said currently there are over 500 declarations from the past administration pending verification by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. The acting managing director of the National Port Authority says she is not jettled by individuals who are allegedly using animal sacrifice to take her job. Madam Cecilia Cover-Brown noted that the Lord is her strength, stressing that her work in the last 6 months will justify her stay at the port as managing director. The NPA boss comment comes amidst speculation in the public that the former LRA boss, Madam Afrida Tamba, is tapped to be the head of the National Port Authority. Speaking Wednesday at the Center for the Exchange of Intellectual Opinion in Monrovia Wednesday, Madam Brown said she is pleased with the explicit confidence imposed in her by the Liberian leader. According to the acting NPA boss, President Weah has no intention to replace her. She described those seeking to be the managing director of the NPA as people who do not understand the plight of the poor. The son of former Vice President Joseph Boakai has been summoned by the Monrovia City Court on allegation of property theft. Joseph Boakai Jr. is accused by Star Oil Company for refusing to return a 2015 Toyota Tundra vehicle he allegedly rented from the company. The vehicle is said to be valued at $140,000 United States dollars. The court has ordered the defendant Boakai to appear on July 10 to respond to the allegation. The Liberian National Police has reacted to a recent protest that led to the injury of a woman and the arrest of several persons in Batnasville. Addressing a press conference on Wednesday, Deputy Police Inspector General Robert Boothey clarified reports that the Liberian National Police did not shoot and wound victim Helena Limlin as speculated. Victim Helena Limlin sustained what appeared to be a bullet wound on her neck after police intervened to calm the protest. But according to Inspector Boothey, the police used non-lethal force to disperse the protest that ensued following a motor accident that led to the death of persons. Mansurada County District 2 Representative Jimmy Smith has called for the deferment of all travel activities of resigned Central Bank of Liberia Executive Governor Milton Weeks. President Weah Tuesday received and accepted the resignation of CBL Executive Governor Weeks, commending him for the time of service. In the wake of his resignation, the House of Representatives has mandated its Ways, Means and Finance and banking committees to ascertain from the CBL the depreciation of the Liberian to United States dollars on the market. The decision of the lower house follows a communication already been reviewed by the Banking Committee following its submission by the Mansurado County District 2 lawmaker. However, Representative Smith wants the former governor to be available at any time in order to provide details of his stewardship at the entity. The lawmaker added that even though the committee's newest mandate has not requested his presence, but he played a part in the economic sector of the country. A 26-year-old woman accused of killing her boyfriend in the ELW community has been charged with murder and forwarded to court. According to police investigation, Juata Pinky Abu allegedly stabbed her boyfriend Morris Johnson after a fight erupted between the two at the Pepperfish nightclub on June 14. According to the report, the two were seen happily interacting until defendant Pinkett's former lover, Alexander Freeman, alias Nika Blow, showed up in the club and began to dance. Investigation established that the presence of Nika Blow might not have gone well with Johnson, which made him to throw an insult at Pinky for watching her ex-boyfriend dance. Following the incident at the club, the police report furthered that both Pinkett and Johnson went home. While at home, a heated argument ensued between the two that resulted to a fist fight, at which time Pinky ran to the kitchen and took a knife and allegedly stabbed Johnson from the back. The National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority has completed a one-day intensive training in fisheries reporting with emphasis in fisheries stock assessment, aquaculture potential, and marine sector. At the opening of the workshop, the Deputy Director General of NAFA, Augustine Monobala, said the training is intended to help journalists have a broad understanding on reporting on Liberia's fisheries sector. Mr. Monobala added that with such training, journalists will have a vast understanding of the sector, including licensing requirements, imports, and exports. Earlier, the European Union's delegation representative pledged the EU's commitment to helping strengthen the partnership in the field of fisheries between the European Union and Liberia. Ivan Vasquez said ensuing better consistencies with external relations remains key to the access of civil society on information, fishing, and financial issues. Liberian journalist turned activist Omesi Johnson has termed as economic burden the decision of the Coalition for Democratic Change to support two seated lawmakers. The CDC has endorsed the senatorial bid of both Representatives Sir Joseph and Marvin Core of Montserrat and Bon County, respectively. Journalist Johnson said their ascendancies could once more create vacancies in the two counties. He wants Liberians resist the two CDC lawmakers as well as Representative Yake Koluba in the pending senatorial elections in Montserrat County. The conduct of the senatorial by-elections is a result of the ascendancy of President George Weah and Vice President Joe Howard Taylor from the Liberian Senate. Several children in Monrovia and its environs have begun benefiting from the distribution of footballs and jerseys. The distribution has been carried out by child rights advocate Ibrahim Keita in partnership with Defense for Children International, Liberia. Communities that have benefited from the ongoing distribution include Ware Town, Red Light, Trowea Community, Necro Town, and Basso Town in Virginia. In separate remarks, Mr. Keita and DCR Liberia Program Manager Robert Conan said the initiative is to protect children from all forms of abuses. Speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries were volunteer youth in Ware Town, Tumete Carpet, and DCR Liberia focal person in Trowea Community, Nora Queten, who thanked Mr. Keita and DCR Liberia for the initiative. And a high level to the Liberia European Union meeting has gotten underway at the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authorities at the Matsuredo Pier on Bristol Island. According to NAFA, the high-power delegation arrived in Monrovia to discuss issues surrounding the Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement between the Liberian delegation through the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority and the European Union. The SFPA is aimed at promoting responsible fisheries to ensure long-term conservation and sustainable exploitation of marine biological resources. The discussion would also focus on the lifting of Liberia's yellow card imposed by the European Union as a result of non-compliance in the fisheries sector. Some members of the Union's delegation for this meeting include Ivan Vasquez, Susanna Tracuria Lopez, and Louis Hill. It can be recalled that in 2015, Liberia and the European Union signed the Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement, which, among other things, is aimed at promoting responsible fisheries to ensure long-term conservation and sustainable exploitation of marine biological resources. In exchange for assets fees, a payment on tonnage of fish caught, and funding towards the running costs and development of NAFA worth over 3.5 million in total. 32 Euro vessels are permitted to fish for tuna in the offshore zone of Liberia's 200 miles exclusive economic zone. These boats are not allowed to fish ashore at any time or to target other species. And that's the chief of the news bulletin.
Many thanks, Augustine Bill Kollie. Augustine returns here later on to bring you foreign developments. If you just joining us, you're listening to News Net on OKFM 99.5. My name is Trokon, Freeman presenting. It is 18 minutes by 6 o'clock in Monrovia. In our top stories this morning, on the occasion marking United States independence anniversary, President Weah describes the U.S. as a major partner to Liberia's development agenda, while nominating Afana Petrie to head the CBL, replacing Milton Weeks. Government's anti-corruption watchdog AECC says the commission does not have record of any member of the 53rd legislature who declared assets, including President Weah, then Senator of Maserado. National Port Authorities acting managing director Cecilia Coffey Brown says they are individuals who are using animal sacrifices to take a job, but still remains confident of a retention by President Weah. And report from Nima County says the 2 persons have been arrested for counterfeiting. I will talk to Nima County correspondent Franklin Delacroix. Thanks for being there. President George Weah has nominated Afana Petrie as executive governor of the Central Bank of Liberia. The nomination of Petrie follows the resignation of Governor Milton Weeks from the CBL. According to an executive mansion release, the president has also made appointments at the National Security Agency. Meanwhile, President Weah has, with immediate effect, terminated the mandate of the Special Presidential Task Force constituted to retrieve government-owned vehicles from former officials of government. Here now is the Liberian leader, Dr. Weah.
We also acknowledge with great appreciation the many initiatives taken under the United States international development programs, which promise great possibility for socio-economic development of Liberia. Beyond these programs, the United States has supported the decentralization and deconcentration programs, agriculture, development, rehabilitation of roads, and power infrastructure.
Sorry for that wrong excerpt. Let's now go for that story where President George Weah commended the people of the United States of America, describing them as a major partner to Liberia's development agenda. He spoke yesterday at the independence celebration of the United States of America.
We also acknowledge with great appreciation the many initiatives taken under the United States international development programs, which promise great possibility for socio-economic development of Liberia. Beyond these programs, the United States has supported the decentralization and deconcentration programs, agriculture, development, rehabilitation of roads, and power infrastructures through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC compact grants, and other financial facilities for which we are grateful. consolidations of peace and security in Liberia has been key in strengthening our democratic processes and expanding the political space.
Liberian leader Dr. George Weah described the United States as major partner to Liberia's development agenda. Well, we are getting a report that police in Nema County yesterday arrested 2 persons in possession of huge sum of counterfeit. Live on the line is our Nema County correspondent, Franklin Dolokwe. Franklin, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm doing great. How much are we talking about?
Well, there are 2 persons, as you said. Therefore, this 30-year-old Nigerian was arrested with $1 million plus Liberian dollars. They are all counterfeit. For this Guinean tools, she has not been charged yet.
So you don't know exactly how much, the quantity of the amount arrested from the other suspect?
Well, the Guinean, this 58-years-old woman or Kulumu Kamara, she was arrested with $1,719,000 Liberian dollars. But according to her, she was arrested at the counter Guinea border. But when I spoke with her, she told OKFM that she been selling some agricultural products about 2 years, or 10 years ago. She been in the business. But due to the high rate of US or the demand of US, she sold of the goods in Liberia, and she took the money she carried in Guinea for her to get US in Guinea. But the rate continued to go up or to increase. Then there was no way for her to get more US, so she was getting back in Monrovia to change the US, where she had made contact with her business partners with the rate of $157 US dollar per Guinea, for Liberia money. So she was transporting the money from Guinea to bring it in Liberia when she was arrested at the Liberia counter Guinea polo. For this 30-years-old Nigeria Udumu Ubi, he was arrested. She entered Liberia through the local polo. But it was a money changer in Ghana, where when he entered Ghana, this 30-year-old suspect, according to him, he also explained to OK that he has spent or he passed 2 nights in Ghana. But when the real money he brought, he said when money finished, he left his guest where he was stopping Yangon on the road to engage this money changer, asking the money changer to give him $5,000, then he's going to get him new money. So when you brought the money, you brought some of the money out. When you showed the money changer, how the money changer when he found the police, and police went there, they arrested him. But when I asked him how he managed to enter that, he said, he put the money in a cartoon where he designed find the phone or sheet that you're carrying sheet to somebody.
Franklin, did he tell you how he got the money?
Then the question I posed to him, he said, there's a fellow in Nigeria that he is facing this money. He said he gave 200 million Nigerian money to this fellow for him to print this money for him. While he also said that he met a Guinean who came from Guinea. He was in Nigeria, but he did not explain if this Guinean has gone in Nigeria for similar transaction. But he said he printed this money from Nigeria, you're carrying it in exchange of USD.
Okay, Franklin, let's leave you right there. We'll talk more about on our sister's program. Okay, Morning Rush this morning. The chairman of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission says the refusal of government officials to declare the assets is a violation of the Code of Conduct. Councillor James Vader said since the inception of the Weah Taylor administration, the LACC does not have a considerable number of public officials who have declared their assets.
I would say clearly that the law has been violated already, because the law says when people are appointed to office, anybody who's appointed and has authority or power to make decisions on contracting, on administration, on those persons are supposed to declare their asset prior to taking office.
Prior to.
Yeah, the law says prior to. It did not say in 30 days. But from experience and practice, what has happened is that upon confirmation, when the president of Liberia was appointing you, in your letter of appointment, it stated when you should declare your asset. Notably, we say in the last administration, that's the experience I had. I will see letters that said you should declare your asset to LCC in 30 days or in 15 days. If that was applicable to this administration, it means all of it's been January. That time has expired. But as the law says prior to taking office. I'm just saying what the law is.
But is it really happening?
I have some difficulty with that, and we've experienced a huge issue of non-compliance, non-support with this very
from all
process.
branches.
Yeah, all branches of government right now. I will say that. As I speak, I've been informed that members of the judiciary are actually declaring to the clerk of court, and we're supposed to be meeting with them in the next few days to see how we can access those documents that the clerk of court has. I got that information, but it's just information. I just cannot confirm it.
No verification. So what really is reflected in the law as to when they are to do those basic things in compliance?
The code of conduct says prior to taking office. That is just clear. And I will say to you,
currently that is on the contrary.
I'm saying to you since January 2nd of this new government, taking after the inauguration, up to today's date, with all the public education we provided, all the clarification we provided, you know what I mean, we do not have a reasonable or considerable number of public officials who are declared the asset. We don't have. But the enforceability of the code of conduct is left with the head of the three branches of government, not with LACC, not with any other institution.
Consider Feria is the head of the Anti-Corruption Commission. The acting managing director of the National Port Authority says she's not jilted. The acting managing director of the National Port Authority says she's not jilted by the individuals who are allegedly using animal sacrifices to take her job. Madam Cecilia Coffey-Brown noted that the law is of strength, stressing that her working the next 6 months still justify her stay at the National Port Authority.
If Unity Party have won, they cannot think the people playing for me in this country yet. But I told them, say, the day all your plans will come to fruition, that day will never come. I said it because I'm a woman of God. I'm a woman who hears directly from God. Look at my face. I am not an ordinary woman. If I tell you, say, God said this, go up, you can't die. It is what it is. Unless to the contrary. And I think the president has had this experience with me. Because many a times I had to go deliver a message to him. We don't know what kind of spirit a person embodies. So now they gave us this job here. Then y'all know how much will be in the bank account. National Port Authority, $307,000. That couldn't even make payroll. So even though I know I'm educated, but this time here, they're not education, but I have to go in the closet to pray to God to say where that my chance here will be. And you know that the only chance I get to be the Zacchaeus. And then I didn't receive turnover notes. And you know that when you go, because everybody wanted to be managing director, even now, sir, some people not bury cow here, some people not bury sheep, some people not bury. I see those things. I said, I'm a woman of God. But I know one thing, when God speaks, nobody can default his statement. Because the heart of every king belongs to who? Jehovah God.
Madam Cecilia Coffey-Brown is the acting managing director of the National Port Authority. She spoke at the Intellectual Center in Monrovia yesterday. One of the 7 media outlets whose licenses were recently suspended by government has commenced broadcasting. Government in a recent memo suspended the licenses of Roots, Magic, Spoon and Punch FM, including 231 groups of companies and Emmanuel TV, pending a review. A reporter, Luca Yeager, has been following one after another and filing this report.
The government of Liberia on Monday, June 18, 2018, announced the suspension of all media licenses issued between January 1 and June 18, 2018. Based on such, Deputy Information Minister Eugene Trokon, appearing on our sister talk show, Afternoon Conversation, mentioned the names of entities affected.
Why is it that Spoon Communication, Punch FM is the one complaining? Why is it that 231 group of companies not complaining? Why is it that Magic FM, who now is the parent group for Emmanuel TV, why is it that they're not complaining? Why is it that Costa, why is he not complaining about his news station?
Following government's decision, which allegedly affected the operations of Punch FM to the airwaves, its owner Patrick Honda, expressing dissatisfactions, turned it as a witch hunt. Honda told OKFM that he has already briefed his lawyers about the situation.
We've contacted our lawyers to be on the high alert. The government can go ahead and do anything they want to do. You all can celebrate it, but the same contract is not for right at all.
The situation claimed the attention of the President of Liberia, in which the UN says it was shocked by the latest action of the WIA administration to suspend operating licenses of some media outlets, citing technical and administrative irregularities in the acquisition of the permit to operate. The PAN is careful that this could be the reintroduction of the old Salif administration tactics employed to intimidate section of the media into silence. But Wednesday, July 4, 2018, this was how Roots FM, situated on Asmon Street, one of the outlets caught in government's web, began operations with the introduction of the Costa Show.
Roots FM on a Saturday, we're going to be switching to 102.7, which was our original frequency when we started our Voice FM in 2014.
The Costa Show before government's mandate was aired on Shatter FM 102.5, a station with genesis from Wookie's farm in Carisburg. It remains unclear as to whether Roots FM is in compliance with government's regulations. However, Article 15A gives every person the right to freedom of expression, being fully responsible for the abuse thereof. Article 15B continues that the right encompasses the right to hold opinions without interference and the right to knowledge. It includes freedom of speech and of the press, academic freedom to receive and impart knowledge and information, and the right of libraries to make such knowledge available. It includes non-interference with the use of mail, telephone, and telegraph. Don't forget that the Hullabaloo meets the House of Representatives' decision to repeal the 1978 Penal Law, Chapter 11, with Sections 11.11, 11.12, and 11.14 to be known as Kamara Atula Kamara Act of Press Freedom. Reporting for OKFN News, I am Rockwell Yeager.
A U.S. court has found former NPFL Defense Minister and spokesman Tom Wowoyu accused of 11 out of 16 counts of criminal immigration fraud. Wowoyu is also accused of lying to U.S. immigration officials about his human rights violations. He is now the highest-ranking official to be held to the count for civil war. From Philadelphia, Tisiboli of New Narratives reports.
The jury spent all day on their deliberations. Just before the close of session, they came back into court to deliver their verdict, guilty on all but 5 counts. The defendant showed no emotion as the verdict was read. After the verdict, he embraced other family and supporters in the room. He had a small smile for them. His elder son ran out of court after the verdict was read. The family took the back door out of the courthouse to avoid reporters. Wowoyu's Anthony said he was disappointed and promised an appeal, saying there were many issues with the trial. Outside the court, U.S. Assistant District Attorney Len Hussey Wright, who traveled to Liberia many times in the course of the investigation, said he hoped this verdict will bring some comfort to Liberia's war victims.
We hope that some of them find some solace in this and understand that there are people who in fact care about their experience and want to see them have justice.
Woyu was put under house arrest, awaiting the sentencing hearing on October 15. He faces decades in jail and a large fine when he is sentenced. For New Narratives, this is TC Bole reporting.
The Liberian National Police has reacted to a recent protest that led to the injury of a woman and the arrest of several persons in Barnardsville. Addressing the news conference on Wednesday, Deputy Police Inspector General Robert Bull clarified reports that the Liberian National Police did not shoot and wound victim Helena Nimle.
On June 27, 2018, at about 10:30 a.m., a road traffic accident occurred on the Cabal Road in Barnardsville involving a green Sano dump truck bearing license plate number H14455. As a result of the accident, violent crowd and all rioters set roadblocks and prevented pedestrian and vehicle from plying the Cabal Road as they attempted to set the dump truck ablaze or on fire. Officers from the Zone 4 police station immediately responded to the accident scene but could not contain the violent crowd and all rioters. Then a second section of the police support unit from the Liberian National Police Headquarters was dispatched as a reinforcement but could not still contain the large violent crowd and all rioters, which also resulted to additional section of the Liberian Police Support Unit from headquarters to contain the violent situation. During the process of containing the violent crowd and all rioters, a lady identified as Madam Helena Nimle sustained injury on her right neck and was rushed at the Trinity Healing Temple Health Center in Barnardsville for treatment. Upon her arrival, the medical practitioner or officer in charge on duty examined Madam Nimle and reported that she sustained laceration and was in a stable condition receiving back. Based on the medical report, which is in the possession of the Liberian National Police, it has been reported by the medical practitioner or officer in charge that Madam Helena Nimle explained that she was shot by a policeman while standing along the road when she felt a sharp pain on her right neck after a heavy sound of gunfire, and she sustained injury on her right neck. However,
Deputy Police Chief Robert Bode via clarifying reports that the Liberian National Police did not shoot and wound victim Helena Nimle. Mosrado County District 2 Representative James Smith has called for the deferment of all travel activities of resigned Central Bank of Liberia Executive Governor Milton Weeks. President George Weah Tuesday received and accepted the resignation of the CBA Executive Governor, commending him for the term of service. Decision of the lower house follows a communication already been reviewed by the Banking Committee following his submission by Mosrado County District 2 lawmaker.
From what I'm hearing in the air, Central Bank going to resign, this, that, John, you finish. He better hold on until we get this thing done. One thing I know, he is a Liberian citizen, and I think the legislature has other tools to work with to make sure that he or those involved with him come forward and answer these questions.
I don't hear you saying that.
So what? Our oversight authority, I think, affects all Liberian citizens and not only citizens and those in our borders.
So you need to come and answer questions?
Oh, I personally would need you to come. And if you have the travel plan, we need to discuss that. He deferred that until he appeared before us. So that would be another thing I would be looking into. If the action taken by the 53rd legislature authorizing the central bank to print X number amount, there must have been an actual amount that was deemed to be mutilated. So how many $1 million was? We want to know. And that is what the question is surrounding. Like I said,
Mosrado County District 2 Representative James Smith calling for the deferment of all travel activities of resigned Central Bank Governor Milton Weeks. Liberian journalist turned activist Omisi Johnson has termed as economic breeding that it's the decision of the Coalition for Democratic Change to support two city lawmakers. The CDC has endorsed the senatorial bid of both Representatives Sir Joseph and Marvin Cole of Mosrado and Bon counties, respectively. Journalist Johnson said the ascendancy could once more create vacancies in the two counties.
I come to your studio with frustration, highly disenchanted and flabbergasted over the decision of our Vice President, Her Excellency Joel Howard Taylor, and the President, His Excellency George Manuel Weah. Their support given to the two representatives for Mosserado South Joseph and Melvin Co of one county. I think that this decision by the two leaders are inimical to our survivor. I'm confused because the two senators, their ascendancy created a vacuum into the Senate. So when the Senate announced about the vacant seat that was present as a result of their ascendancy, MEG proceeded in line with the Constitution. And
Liberian journalist turned activist Omisi Johnson via terminus economic breeding decision by the Coalition for Democratic Change to support two-seater lawmakers. The National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority has completed a one-day intensive training in fisheries reporting with emphasis in fisheries stock assessment, aquaculture potential in the marine sector. At the opening of the workshop, the Deputy Director General of NAFA, Augustine Monobala, said the training is intended to help journalists have a broad understanding on reporting on Liberia's fisheries sector.
Thought to organize this event was to have the press informed adequately about the activities of NAFA. We don't want a situation where the press will hear something related to the fisheries sector and find it difficult to communicate that to the public. So today this program is intended to be able to give you in-depth understanding of the fisheries sector. It will enhance your writing capacity when it comes to writing about the fisheries sector, putting on the fisheries sector. And we hope that as you leave from here, your knowledge will be broadened on the fisheries sector. You have a clear understanding and you help us to communicate effectively to the public on what we do here.
Several children in Monrovia and its environs have begun benefiting from the distribution of footballs and jerseys. Distribution is being carried out by child rights advocate Ibrahim Keita in partnership with Defense for Child International Liberia.
So basically we are here to donate these materials to say the children of this community should be able to play during this vacation. Because you know when you are together in a community, nobody will be able to harm you, right? And you know the thing called rape? Sexual violence. Boys too, you guys can be raped, but you all want to call it sodomy, right? People men want to do bad things to you. This is intended to keep you all together in the community, yeah?
Ibrahim Keita via speaking. Let's get a few comments, and of course we bring you our international developments. Good morning, OKFM and the peace-loving people of District number 13. Mr. President, quickly nominating the successor of Governor Weeks is welcoming. However, Mr. President, I hope your nominee will provide short-term financial policies that will mitigate the current financial instability of our country. That people are dying of starvation. The current exchange rate is very alarming, and that was written by Sekou Kadiatu Sisi. And lastly, good morning, OKFM. It's not really. I think it is time now for Dr. Weah to declare his assets so others can follow his footsteps. At this point, we cross over to the Augustine Kollie to bring you stories from the international world.
Ghanaian President Akufo-Addo has announced that a state burial will be held in honor of the late former Vice President Pa Kwesi Amensa Ator. The president also stated that starting from July 3, 2018, national flags will fly at half-mast across the country in commemoration of the sudden passing of the statesman. Speaking to his family after they visited at the Jubilee House to officially inform him of the late vice president's demise, Akufo-Addo also noted that an official book of condolence will be opened for the late former vice president at the Accra International Conference Center starting July 4, 2018. According to President Akufo-Addo, it is an obvious decision that he should be given a full state burial, and for the next 5 days, Ghana's national flag will fly in half-mast, heading across the country in commemoration of the death of the former vice president. Spokesman for the family, Jasbel Amisa Ator, also said a memorial service will be held on Friday, July 6, during which an official date for his burial and funeral rites will be announced. French President Emmanuel Macron has told the BBC that EU plans to create migrant processing centers in North Africa would not work unless the process is led by those countries. Speaking during a visit to Nigeria, Mr. Macron said many African countries were worried that such centers will act as a pull factor for migrants. The foreign news.
With those developments from our foreign decks, we conclude today's presentation of Newsnet on OKFM 99.5. Many thanks for listening and watching. But before we go, here are the top stories we followed in this presentation of the program. On the occasion marking United States independence anniversary, President George Weah describes the U.S. as a major partner to Liberia's development drive, while nominating a family Petrie to head the CBR, replacing Milton Weeks. The government's anti-corruption watchdog AECC says the commission does not have a record of any member of the 53rd legislature who declared their assets, including President Weah, then Senator of Mosrado. National Port Authority's acting managing director Cecilia Coffey Brown says there are individuals who are using animal sacrifices to take her job, but still remains confident she will be retained by President Weah. And away from Liberia, French President Emmanuel Macron has told the BBC that Europe plans to create migrant processing centers in North Africa will not work unless the process is led by those countries. Augustine Bill Kollie was here with the foreign developments and of course brought you the news bulletin. Jimmy D. Wilson sat at control and handled all of the technical aspects of this presentation. My name is Trokon Freeman. I presented. Good morning.